I also heard my comments, my remarks today about Governor Huckabee's article in Foreign Affairs to accuse the president of an arrogant bunker mentality is, in my view, more fitting from a person running for the Democratic Party than from our own. It sounds like something Barack Obama or John Edwards would say, not what you'd hear from someone running for president as a Republican. And I think it was a very serious error. With that, happy to take any questions you may have.
Yesterday you said you weren't going to compare your foreign policy experience with Governor Huckabee's. In light of this article that's come out now, does that show a lack of judgment on his part in terms of foreign affairs?
Well, having looked at the article, I must admit some things were also surprising. The suggestion that foreign affairs is like children on a playground is not exactly the allegory I would draw upon. It's a far more serious and complicated and monumental effort than kids in school. I'm sure I'll have other thoughts about his article, but I was disappointed in the quality of the thinking and the quality of the recommendations there. But that which really stood out, of course, was the accusation of the administration, the accusation of the president's administration as being an arrogant Bunker Hill mentality administration that had been counterproductive both here and abroad. We've been safe here. How can one possibly say it's been counterproductive here? We have been safe in this country, and we took action abroad at a time when the Taliban had made Afghanistan a safe haven for terror. Libya was developing nuclear technology, and Iraq was a partner in efforts of terror.
So you said before, though, that he has obviously said some interesting things about foreign policy, but you have also called some of our top allies second-tier nations. Don't you think that might be a little counterproductive as well in dealing with them, your president?
No. There's one superpower, I think they all agree, there's one superpower on the planet, that's us right now, and then there are nations which are one tier below that, and I've always said as well that they're great nations, but they're not superpowers as they once were. I don't think any one of them would disagree with that, actually. The French call us a hyperpower. So they recognize there's a difference in our military and economic capacity, and in my view, it's important for us to remain as the world's economic and military leader.
Governor Romney, just a few minutes ago, you called Governor Huckabee a great friend. Did it surprise you, the foreign affairs
It did surprise me. His comments surprised me. They disappointed me. I expected a great deal more from the article than I saw, but the attack on the presidency was something uncalled for. It was unnecessary and inaccurate.
Governor, you say that you just said that you were the last person to say that this administration has an arrogant bunker mentality. Do you stand by everything they've done in the war in Iraq and Afghanistan?
No, you heard my comments as I began the discussion about Iraq, which is, along with the president and Tony Blair, myself, and many others, I point out the mistakes that have been made in the conduct of the war. Certainly, based on all accounts that I've seen and my own perspective as well, following the collapse of Saddam Hussein, we had not done adequate preparation, adequate planning. We had insufficient troop strength. We were undermanaged. Abu Ghraib, as the president has pointed out, was an example of that. There were a number of errors made, but it's very different to point out that there are errors and mistakes and that are made. The intelligence was inaccurate and so forth. It's very different to say that than to say that the Bush administration should be accused of an arrogant Bunker Hill mentality. That's excuse me, not Bunker Hill, an arrogant bunker mentality. That coming from Boston, Bunker Hill pops out of my mouth too easily. But it's very different to point out our own mistakes, as the president has done, and Tony Blair has done, and as I've done frequently, and will continue to do that, and to accuse this presidency of an arrogant bunker mentality.
Governor, you seem to be suggesting, though, that then the president's foreign policy as a whole doesn't need any change.
No,
would you change
how can you possibly suggest that, having just said that there were mistakes made and there are a number of things that I would do differently, that there's nothing that needs to be changed? There are things that I would do differently, and I've described a number of things. In January, for instance, I was at the Herzliya conference in Israel and laid out what I thought was a necessary 7-step plan to get Iran to abandon their nuclear ambition. Some of those things are now being pursued. there are a wide array of things, which I even pointed out in my Foreign Affairs article that I wrote, gosh, it must have been 6 months ago, talking about reorganizing the nation's diplomatic effort on a regional basis with regional envoys appointed by the president that would report to me and use and have budgets for our non-military resources to help move nations towards us. There are many things that I would do in new ways, but it's one thing to say that you're going to make changes. It's one thing to say that there are things that have been done wrong in the past. It's a very different matter to say that the administration is an arrogant bunker mentality. That's a very different accusation. It sounds like it came from Barack Obama and John Edwards. It sounds like Governor Huckabee is running from the wrong party.
You said the war wasn't managed perfectly. That seems to imply that most things involved with it have gone all right. Is that fair to say?
Well, some things went very well. The rapid collapse of Saddam Hussein's government and his military was, I think, quite surprising to many observers. But following the collapse of Saddam Hussein, the preparation was inadequate for what we meant. I think we had insufficient troop strength. I don't think we were effectively managed in the post-Saddam Hussein era, and as a result, many of the difficulties that we have faced over the last several years came to the front. I do believe that General Petraeus is doing a very good job in helping the surge win the support of the Sunnis and eliminating to a great degree the threat that would be established by safe havens for Al-Qaeda or Hezbollah or the like. So are there mistakes and errors? Absolutely. But again, let me point out, have there been mistakes made? Yes. Some serious mistakes made? Yes. Was there under planning and under preparation? Absolutely. And the president would be perhaps among the first to point that out. But he would not suggest, and I would not suggest, or accuse the president of an arrogant bunker mentality. That's simply wrong.
So on the whole, was it managed well? Was it managed well on the whole?
Governor, analysts have said